coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. It's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience, only on Parapod TV, on the Roku channel, and more. I'm your host, Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm a creative and a performing artist and a paranormal survivor. And I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about spirituality. It's about creativity. It's about humanity. It's about passion. It's about service. It's about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world, and then inspiring others to do the same. And every week on the show, it may be my show. It is the Sheena Metal Experience after all, but that doesn't mean it's not always and forever your experience. My guest today is a wonderfully talented spiritual being and seeker. She is a meetup organizer and host, and is now leading transformational trips to Greece for women. And I'm so excited to have her here. Please welcome the wonderful Jody Potiker. How are you, my friend? It's great to have you.
Hello. I am so excited. Since you gave me just about no prep, I didn't really have anything to prepare except to be relaxed and open my heart and be present and surrender to the perfect things just kind of barreling out of my mouth.
You know, I have this kind of theory about the spirituality of talk radio, that if you give somebody questions, if you tell them what you want to talk about, then you're deciding where it's going to go, and it should really go where spirit wants it to go. And sometimes you miss the best stuff by you deciding what it's going to be, which is a very three-dimensional concept. For me, radio is a very ethereal thing.
Makes perfect sense. I love it.
And video. It's all a very ethereal medium. So I love that you're here, and I love that you're taking the chance to surrender into the everything and decide what it's going to be.
Totally. I'm ready.
So
what do you want to talk about? I could talk for an hour straight, but I'll let you guide the conversation.
So you've always been a spiritual person, spiritual being?
Always. Well, yes, I'd have to say yes, but knowing about it or understanding what it is, not always. I had to get a little older for that, but many years, yes. Many years.
When you started doing meetups, what was the idea behind that? What fueled that? Was it something that you understood that women needed, that the world needed, that it was this place you needed to be? What was sort of the inspiration? Because there's a very beautiful spirituality in being a gatherer of souls, right? And that's what you really are. You're a gatherer of souls. It's a very important mission for a human being to take on. So what was behind you deciding to take that service on?
Well, I'm actually very clear that my purpose in life is connecting people. I had a reading recently and was told that it's about appointments. It was an Akashic Records reading, and I never heard it said that way.
Yeah.
But that I'm creating appointments, and I'm putting people together for appointments to meet each other, and then from there, whatever happens. So I'm more and more clear about that. About 12 years ago, I moved down to Orange County because my dad went into assisted living. He was 85. And although I was born down here, I moved up to Sonoma County to the Bay Area in 83, actually. So I had been gone for a long time. And I decided it was just ready. Things were completing up there, and that I needed to come down and be with my dad. So I came down here and I ran across Meetup, and I decided to go to some events. And the thing is, I had a good time. The hosts were wonderful people. I had a good time. Every time I met nice people, but every time when I left, I had the same experience. And I left feeling like I didn't actually make any new friends. I didn't have any phone numbers. I didn't have any way to start building community outside of the events. And it just felt like something was off. And I realized I started wanting to host events, and because I had a gazillion, I think our group has hosted just about anything you can think of, anything at all. We've done it at least once, and the good ones we do over and over again.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I had all these ideas for doing events, and I started suggesting them to the organizers at the time. And I think they maybe started getting a little threatened, or I'm not sure, feeling like, word was passed to me that somebody had said something like, there's only room for one alpha. And I thought, right, that does not,
wolf pack, but okay.
right, that doesn't resonate at all. And I really hadn't intended to start my own group, but I just did it. I started it in March of 2012. There is now 5,300 and something members.
That's beautiful.
And that's really why I did it. I wanted to make friends down in Southern California. I wanted to kind of plug into community, and I just took it upon myself to bring in that missing element, which I believe is what makes my particular events different and special. Can I share that?
Please, yes.
You know what it is? It's my commitment is that no person feels on the outside. Because, I'm really aware. I've done a lot of these billiards nights. We've had 60, 70 people come. And I watch people. People have told me, like, they couldn't even come in. They stayed in their car, or they stayed at the front door. They couldn't even walk in, because when you look in and everybody's talking and engaging, it looks like everybody knows each other except you. You're the only one that doesn't know anybody, and you're going to walk in and stand there and feel awkward and out of place, right?
Right.
So my secret ingredient is every person that comes gets greeted, gets met. And usually I do something really crazy, but I gather up all the new people and I walk them around in a big train all around the room, and I interrupt people the whole night and introduce, and literally everybody's shaking hands, shaking hands, shaking hands, shaking hands. And, they want to stop and engage. And I'm like, no, the rules are keep going to the end, and then I'll set you free, and you go and connect. And so, if it's not in that style, then it's always every person. It makes all the difference in the world. After that simple gesture, people look out, and now they know people, and they don't feel that way anymore.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, right.
I think the ultimate inclusion too, I've been a promoter of a music, comedy, radio events since I was a fetus. And I think the idea of making everyone feel like they're the most special person to be there, not like, oh, there's I went to this comedy night one night, and I won't say anything more than that. And I knew a lot of people there, but it was like so cliquey.
Yeah. Cliquey.
And even people that I talk to all the time were not talking to me there. And I thought, this is so strange to run into people that, like, I had been to their houses and they'd been guests on my radio show, because this whole thing was all about, like, who's the group that hangs together at this event. And I thought, I'm so glad I'm not that kind of promoter. I don't ever want to be that kind of promoter, because I was the kid that always got dragged to the school, like the new kid. And so I know that scary feeling, and I don't want anyone to ever feel like that.
It brings you straight back to your childhood wounds, doesn't it?
It does. Yes. And so when I'm at like a party where I don't know anybody or something, I'll start asking people questions next to me. Thank God I know how to ask these questions from this crazy life and career. And then I'll like get them to let's talk to this other person. And I think mostly for me, it was a way, maybe still is a way, to overcome shyness. But I never want anyone to feel out of place anywhere. And I love that those were the first couple things that you talked about, because we don't realize, right? Because we have these big full lives with putting on shows and all kinds of stuff, that there's a lot of people out there that are just lonely. And don't have a support system, and they can't put on a night and 300 people come. They go through their whole life, and sometimes they don't even hardly talk to ever anybody.
Yes.
And they just need someone to strike up a conversation with them and make them feel warm and connected.
And
That's
just to be seen, right? Just everybody wants to be seen.
Yeah. That's all they need. And it's so important, because it's kind of like a teach a man to fish thing, right? If you reach out to them and teach them how to be friendly and how to make friends at something like one of your
Yes.
events, then they will pull the new ones in and teach them
Yes.
the same.
And that's what they do. I feel like it's the culture that we created that
Yes.
now, when I'm in the corner doing something, other people are running up to the new people. And we
Right.
have little stars for new people if it's your first time. So everyone knows you're new. So
Yeah.
everyone knows. So it is creating a culture. It is teaching them to fish. I mean,
when you're little,
not everybody needs that, but
you wear the star when you're the new kid.
yes.
What about for you? I mean, for you, because you're so busy trying to parent hundreds of people at a time. When, Jody, do you get your time to make the new friends and make the new associations and get to have that time that feeds you? I mean, yes, you get fed just by the nature of doing it, right? Because when
Exactly.
you get a healing. But
Oh, yeah.
do you get to meet new people and spend time with people at these events? Or does most of your interacting go like emailing and texting beforehand?
Well, it's funny because sometimes it hits me. I realize, oh my God, I just want some one-on-one time. I mean, I'm blessed. I have a wonderful girlfriend here, so I get one-on-one time with her. But I didn't realize I do miss one-on-one and small group time because, I'm the kind of person, oh, there's a play I want to see. I just post it. Anybody
Right,
that wants to come.
I just invited 5,300 people to this play.
Exactly. I do that all the time. But what I do is we all have our types of people that we
Sure.
resonate with.
Yes.
Right. Just the resonance. And so it's very quick and easy now for me to kind of get a sense. I call them my peeps, the peeps.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy to find a peep when to know a peep when you see one.
Exactly.
And so I usually exchange numbers, and then I actually have parties at the house. So I love to play poker. I love to play poker. So I love the game itself because it's a strategy game, and I love games that the more you play, the more you learn, the better you actually get.
Yes.
But the thing I love most about it is I have 10 people at the table, and I only invite people that I really want to spend an evening with.
I love
that. So 10 people at the table playing a game, but just being together and talking and singing and dancing. And so that's what I do. I do, reach out privately to people that I'm interested in getting to know better and kind of do it on the side.
And don't you think that you're fortunate that you have a life that allows you to come in contact with people?
Oh my God.
And constantly meet friends. I'm so thankful for this show and for my shows because you do know, right? I always say, sometimes people don't understand, like, well, how did you become friends with this person? And I say, well, they did my show, they did my TV show, they did my radio show. Well, I don't understand that. And I'm like, no, when you spend an hour with somebody talking about life, you figure out who's your people and who's not your people.
Absolutely.
And you understand if you click with somebody, and it's a wonderful way to meet people.
Yes.
I'm so fortunate my life allows me to come in contact with so many great people. But somebody has to make the shows, make the events, plan the trips for people who maybe work in an office and they feel like they have nothing in common with anybody they work with.
Oh my God. Yes.
And they don't have that constant influx of tribe that's coming in to meet new peeps, right?
Yes. Yes. It makes me so happy because sometimes, like, I was out at a restaurant one night and this group of younger gals, they were all together and they came up to me and they said, Jody, guess what? See us, we've been hanging out all the time now, and we met at this and this and this event, whatever. And it's like, it makes me so happy because it's not just, me creating my own personal community. It's like, then it's the bigger community and the bigger community and all the branches off of all these friends. And there's so many couples, so many getting married, having children, like so many couples. And that's what feeds me, of course, right?
Yeah.
That's what feeds me, is just the pleasure of knowing that I actually did something that seems to have made a difference,
It's so beautiful. And when they become couples, do they still come back and go to events?
Oh my God, you would ask that question.
Is that the
what do you think?
Question right
what
there?
do you think, Sheena?
I think oftentimes not, sadly. I think
correct.
oftentimes not. I think that a lot of times people who go to events like that are either looking for friends because they don't feel like they have enough, or enough where they are, or enough that are like them in a certain community, or they're looking to find their spiritual soulmate. And if once they find that, they stop coming. And I think that's a shame, because I think those are the ones that should come back and help to foster the ones that are there looking. But
it is few and far between, honestly, people that actually want to do this. I try, like, people come up to me often and say, hey, let's do this. Let's do this. And what I say is, could you host it? Could you help me? Could you do it with me? It's like, no, could you do it? Kind of thing. So it is what happens. And I kind of, it's a little kind of a wound probably of mine, an abandonment wound, I'm imagining, but I'm so used to it now, because people come and it's the best thing in the whole world. Then they not only meet their partners, but they make all these friends, and then they leave and go do things with their friends and their partners. And yes, that's natural in a way, of course. We're women, we nest, right? It's just what we do. But I had
we click off. We click.
So I had to kind of make that so that it's not personal. So that's just not personal. It's really just what happens. And it's a success measure in a way, that people come, and they meet so many people, they don't need meetup anymore. But I don't look at it as kind of the need. I look at it as the community building enhancement. So, I have kind of a joke, because sometimes I'll see a person that I haven't seen in a long time, and here they walk in alone. I'm like, hello, let me guess. You broke up from your relationship. And it's always a yes. Always a yes. So, so be it. It's okay. I want them to come back. It's just, it's my lesson to not have that mean anything about me.
Right. So you think a lot of the people that come to your events, like most of them are people who are single?
Most, but there's some events that are just fun. Like, I started doing these live ones in Lake Forest because I finally have a venue after COVID. COVID just wiped out my venues.
Yes.
Right. So I finally found a venue. And so what I do when I do my events, I try to make everything based on engagement and meeting each other. So I'll take a typical, like a trivia game. But if you're with your partner, if you're with your team and you're just sitting with the same 3 people all night, you've met 3 people. No. So what we do is we do a few rounds of trivia, and then everyone has their own score sheet. And so what they do is they take their score sheet, get up, go to a new table. They have new partners, and the whole table has to agree on one answer. So this Saturday night in Lake Forest, I'm doing Boulder Dash. So instead of coming with the answer, they have to bullshit. They got to make up the answer with their team.
Okay.
Together, agree on an answer. And then that's the response for the team. And then they have to vote, but they all have to agree. And then we're going to rotate teams again. So, and then karaoke afterwards. So everything I do, I try to just make it so that the awkward, shy, or uncomfortable person, a lot of people have social anxiety.
Oh, I have social anxiety.
Yeah,
I didn't social anxiety right there thinking about it. And then I was like, calm down, you can do this. Everything would be fine. You'd be okay.
Well, what I find though, is if it's part of what you're doing, like you have to get up and then you introduce yourself and you're playing a game, you're focused on something. That's what really helps the social anxiety. Or giving somebody a job. Can you give name tags at the door, or a task?
Yes.
A task really helps.
Yes.
So,
yeah, because it really is a use it or lose it. The more you use your social skills, I remember my mom telling me that, because she was painfully shy, and she's like, you have to get out and be amongst people, even if you don't want to, because the more you use it, the more comfortable it becomes, the more you want to be around people. It really is a callus that you build up, the being around people.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more it feels comfortable and the more you want to do it.
Well, I hope the culture, like once people understand the culture, that when they come in, people are friendly. People are, and anybody that's sitting over there not being friendly, I am clear, it's because they're shy or they're awkward or they're uncomfortable. Everybody comes to these things to meet people. I'm clear about that. So I try to impart that just to, to break the resistance that people might have to just going up and talking to people.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea that it's not just to meet someone to date, because I think it's so important that we put so much emphasis on that as human beings, and we forget how important it is to foster friendships and how important it is to foster chosen family. Those things are so important. You need more than one person in your life.
Absolutely. When I first moved down here, when I was single, I kind of just came up with a whole new strategy for dating, which is to not focus at all and just look for people that I enjoyed spending time with and that I wanted to spend time with, and know that whoever I dated, I want to be my best friend anyway.
Yeah.
So start there and put no pressure on myself, because, and dating things, people put their best foot forward and they put on their face and they do all this stuff. Well, when you wake up in the morning, it's a whole different story. What's that?
I said they love bomb you. And then you're like, oh, this is really what your life's like.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think the defenses are down and there's just not the pressure feeling at all. And I think that is part of why so many people end up dating.
Yeah, I love that. And you must have a really wonderful girlfriend that isn't freaking out that you're around so many women all the time.
Oh, no, she's completely not freaking out.
So great.
No,
it's so good. But it takes a special person.
I would not choose to be with somebody.
Of course.
So it's kind of inherent in the situation.
Of course, right. It's part of the criteria is, but it can be a difficult thing. I mean, I've promoted events my whole life, so I know what it's like to have and been on the radio and talked about my life and sometimes that kind of openness and that kind of accessibility is very difficult for some people to be partnered with someone like that.
Well, it's all about trust, and I insist that I be trusted until given a reason not to, not the other way around.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's funny because I have my she's going to crack up when she hears this, but my very best friend, I was together in the 90s for 6 years. And so when I'm ready to date someone, we've had this ongoing joke for years that if you don't accept my relationship with Sue, I'm sorry, we can't date, because she's my best friend.
Okay.
No, she's my best friend. And I want to be with somebody who trusts me, who's not threatened by me having close friends in my life and intimate communications and people I trust and care for, and I want to support my partner in the same thing. So trust until given a reason not to.
I agree. And I think that's a healthy example, just by talking about it, that we're setting for other people, that it is important that you still have your friendships and you're still just as close. It is important that your partners jive with your friends. We're all seeking spiritually, right, is a cohesive life where everything is in balance.
Yes.
And
yes.
I'm sorry.
I've at some point I'd love to share with you some of the where I'm heading and what I'm wanting to create along this vein.
Oh, please, would now be a good time?
I'd love to.
Please.
So my I've had a kind of, I call it a signature event. It's the name of my business, official business. It's called Circles, and I'm all about circles. And so my Circles event is along the lines of the rotating team kind of games, but it's not a game. So we sit with 5 people and I ask thought-provoking questions, the kind of questions that you would want someone you're getting to know to determine whether you want them in your life or not. You kind of want to know, interesting things like that, interesting, deeper things. So everybody gets a minute to share, and then a couple of minutes to just engage with the group. And then we get up and change circles. So that event is the one that creates more relationships than anything else. So I'm all kinds of relationships. So since I love circles so much, I, not by accident, stumbled upon an organization called Sistership Circles. And it's a woman named Tanya in San Diego. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Okay. Her whole thing is training women how to lead circles, like intimate, deep, kind of spiritual kind of circles. And so of course I had to do it. So I just did her 2-day process. And I'm what I've always wanted to do. I'm lucky enough to have like a pool house outside. I want to run circles, circles of women who on an ongoing basis, right? Get a
yeah,
chance
good
to,
spiritual work, man. That's beautiful.
yes, to build trust, to be seen, to share, to share our wounds. They have they taught 3 primary woundings, which is the mother wound, the sister wound, and the witch wound.
Okay.
And so powerful. They're, so powerful. So, organizing a group of so many women, there's been some sister wounding going on.
Yes.
Miscommunications and competition and
Yes.
misunderstandings, and trying to navigate through that has at times been pretty painful for me, but
Sure.
always a lesson at the end. Always.
And always everything happens for a reason.
Yes. And it's uncomfortable. Sometimes I just want it to be easier. Do I have to go through this? So
I always say life is hard and people are harder. That's a little expression Spirit's given me to help clients. And it's okay to say that. It's not, you're not being not woo-woo by saying life is hard. It's a teaching planet. It's soul school here. It's supposed to be about learning, overcoming obstacles, overcoming challenges, and that can sometimes be work. But but finding the people that you connect with, that's how you sort of build up your spiritual immune system to be able to tackle everything else in life. And also learning, whether it's going to a circle or however you find your schooling, to find a way to heal yourself, to find a way to purge your stuff, to find a way to let go of that stuff, because there's always going to be more stuff. So you don't need to keep hanging on to the stuff from 30 years ago, and find a way to work through it, and to understand that you have permission. Spirit gives you permission to say, this happened to me and it sucks, and I want to move past it. I think sometimes we feel like some kind of guilt, like we're not allowed to say, this happened to me and I was hurt and it sucks. Or we're not allowed to say, I don't like the way this person treated me. And you absolutely are. You can't. Empathic people tend to take everything on themselves, right? And we're like spiritual hoarders. We take it in and we hold it in and we never let it go. And then it causes problems down the way. It's really okay to say what you're feeling. It's okay to work through it. And it's okay to let it go. Sometimes you just need somebody to give you permission that it's okay to let it go, right?
Yeah. And the difference also just in taking responsibility for yourself and your life versus, kind of going into a victim thing. And that's kind of hard, I think, sometimes to get out of that, because it always does seem like things, some things are being done to us, but, in a worldly place and a ego personality level, yes, it does feel that way. But going into the spiritual level, which isn't always easy to do, but it seems like sometimes that's the only way. It's the only way out of this mess, because, life isn't fair.
Yes.
Like you're saying, life is hard. It's not fair either. And sometimes we think it's supposed to be fair.
Right.
But it's not.
No, and it's not.
No.
And you're right. And I think finding that balance, like you said, that balance between not giving yourself permission to be hurt by something and living in that hurt for an eternity. It's finding the balance of not being a victim, but at the same time, not feeling like you don't have a right to say that hurt me or that was awful, or, you know what I mean? It's, we're supposed to process a certain amount of hurt. It's okay. I mean, there's a reason why you yell when you stub your toe. It's because your body's releasing the physical pain of what's happening to you. Yet we feel like we have to hold our emotional pain inside. And then we become a person who feels like, well, I can't go to a meetup, or I can't meet people because they're probably just going to hurt me, or they're going to know I got hurt by something and they're going to think I'm a bad person, and all these crazy things that your monkey brain does to you.
Right. And of course, if they really knew me.
Right. Exactly.
They really knew me, they wouldn't want to be around me.
Yeah. So it's finding that balance. And I think talking and getting stuff out. I was just telling somebody this last night. I have clients that I don't talk the entire hour. Like they just talk. And I say, I know, and I love you, and it's going to be okay. That's all, like, because they just need to say it out loud to a safe
Yes.
person and hear
Yes.
themselves say it, because
Yes.
nobody in their life they feel comfortable enough to say it to.
Yes. And
So
that is the sister circles. That's what the
yes,
circles are all about, witnessing. And yes.
yes, yes.
Oh,
So
it's
explain if you wouldn't mind for my viewers the difference in the three types of wounds.
well, the mother wound, kind of the original maternal passing on of belief systems, I'd say.
Yeah,
And
the OG wound,
what's that?
the OG wound,
The
the
OG
original.
wound.
Yeah,
As relating to also your views around sexuality, your experience of sexuality, everything that they taught you around that. So we did get into that wounding, but our mothers, whether they're present or not, or in what capacity, have so much influence on us.
sure.
And the sister wound is of, peers, of community members, of partners, of, people that you have now or have had in your life, family, sisters, things like that. And then, and the witch wound is really cultural, religious, societal beliefs that are imposed on us that have, worked over time to just kind of close us down and kind of warp our potential experience, of how we could be in this world, but it's shaded by all these beliefs that are superimposed on us. I love the Four Agreements, so that's the domestication and all of those things. I'm pretty much constantly learning as much as I can from all different kinds of people, and I've just been doing this little coaching program with Mind Valley, with Michael Neal, who's a really cool guy. And he's a business coach, and I'm not interested in being a business coach, but there was something there. I just thought, what's a business coach going to be teaching? And it's really not about business coaching. It's about understanding that it's all of life and all of our experiences are just going through our perceptions. That's it. That, like, lighten up, realize nothing's actually really happening to you.
Yes.
It's all controlled by your perception.
100%.
And
yeah,
right. It's so liberating
yes,
to realize that we are in control of our experience, even though it really doesn't feel that way sometimes. Really, really.
Let's talk a little bit about the word witch. It's interesting, right? How that word carries with it so much. And for me, that word isn't just about, like, I sit over a cauldron and put herbs in it.
Oh God, no.
But it's also about the work that women do, and men, but we're talking about women because we're women. The work that women do as healers, like our give back, our spiritual service. To me, all of that, for me, all of that is part of my witchdom. When I think of myself as a witch, it's all of those things. I'll tell you a funny story. My mom was a healer. She was a teacher. She was a mental health educator. She was a psychic medium, but didn't tell anybody. She did secret work on people because she was a Scorpio, and Scorpios love secrets. And,
oh my.
Oh, are you? Well, there you go. So you understand. And so the secret, she did a lot of things secretly. Like, she put love and energy into you, and you didn't know. Oh. And I had no idea that she was a practicing witch, and we were best friends, and we told each other everything. And I was cleaning out her office. Interestingly enough, a year and a half ago, I moved back to my childhood home. So I'm in her office right now, and I work at her desk, which I think is so wonderful. And I'm unpacking all of her stuff, and I find this, like, little tiny cauldron. It was like the size of one of the little things you put the soft boiled egg in. And then I found a thing of dragon's blood, and then I found some white sage, and then I opened this thing that I thought was part of her sewing stuff. And it was this 3-foot long crystal wand with a hunk of quartz on one end and a hunk of amethyst on the other, and all this melted silver. And I called my friend who's a practicing witch, and I said, what does all this mean? And she said, honey, your mom was practicing. And I was like, practicing what? Like, I didn't understand. So my mom had been practicing this whole time. And that was when I really realized that all of my mom's work was her practice. Everything that she did for the world, everything she did for kids, and all the work she did for animals, and all the ways she helped my friends in high school figure out their relationships and where they were going to go to college. And when all my friends started coming out
so
in the
nice.
conservative Orange County, all my gay friends lived here when their parents asked them to leave. Like, it was all her witch work, right? And that's when I realized that it's all our witch work. Does that make sense? So when you talk about the witch wound, it really falls along those lines, I think.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that whole piece up, because we did talk about the Salem witch trials and, what women were being burned at the stake for their intuition, their psychic abilities, their healing abilities, all those things.
Yeah.
So,
and their power, owning property, having businesses. It was anything where they stepped out of the box they were supposed to be in. And so I think your witch work, whether you're male, female, or however you choose to identify, is all about the spiritual power that you bring. And then there's the witch wound, right? That comes from you not fitting in the box.
Yes.
And how do you deal with the fact that you think outside of that box? I think that's so important. It's one of the things I think that's so important to me in the work that I do, is having people understand that it's okay to have that witch work. You don't have to give up your belief system of whatever you believe. You don't have to stop going to church. You don't have to do anything different in your life. You're just taking your power and accepting it.
Right. Just, developing your psychic or spiritual, intuitive skills. It's quite a process, and it's so exciting, every once in a while to get a little taste of like, really dropping into the flow.
Absolutely.
I mean, that happened on these big webinars. There are like 400 people on the webinars, and it kept happening the whole time, looking at 48 boxes, scrolling through 5 screens, and just looking, and then I'd stop and I'm really looking at somebody, and then the speaker announces her to lead the next process and things like that. Getting matched up out of 400 people, the person that I had been staring at on the screen, I got matched up with her, and the person that she was doing the process about, her name was Jody.
Wow. Right? Because there are no accidents. Yeah.
No accidents. No.
At what point in your life did you start to really sort of come into your spiritual beliefs as you know them to be now? I mean, I say that now because they're always changing, right? We're always growing and everything's always shifting. But where you sort of took your power as a spiritual being?
Well, I don't know if this is considered a spiritual thing. I think everything probably is. But in 1985, I actually did the Landmark Forum for the first time.
Okay.
And that was a time I was in chiropractic school at the time. And, I just remember walking away from that, and the whole world just was different. It was different. And you can never go back after understanding and experiencing so much about how your mind works and how life is and how reality is. You can never go back. So I think, and then I did a lot of work with Landmark, and that was very important for me. When I was an intern in the clinic, I did their leadership program, and that changed me forever also, because it's about enrollment and learning the difference between sales and enrollment. So different. And so I've always been able to be successful. I sold the most Girl Scout cookies. That's my first claim to fame.
Nice.
Right? Sold the most Girl Scout cookies and had the most patients and finished first in my internship. But I think just being present and passionate about what it is you're sharing, that you don't need to sell anything, because who you're being and your passion and your true feelings about it, people can sense that. So it's creating an experience for people that they want to step in freely, because they get that experience for themselves.
Yes.
So,
yes.
right. So
yes,
that just kind of cracks you wide open into maybe having more success, perhaps if you're, if you have a business or something that you want clients or business or sales, kind of makes it a lot easier to have that, because I could never sell anything that I don't really, really believe in. So it's just natural. It's kind of like my work is my passion, so it doesn't feel like work.
Right. Of course. Yes. That's how it should be. And obviously you believe in Girl Scout cookies, which now you're my favorite person.
Yeah, I said no to a Girl Scout the other day at the Women Who Rock concert. I said no. Well, actually, I said I'll come back, and then she wasn't there. So, but anyway,
yeah.
but
and I sold the most Girl Scout cookies too, but I think it was because of my Scorpio mother, if we're going to tell the truth.
Oh,
I think people were just really charmed by the Scorpio, and they were like, I'll take 200 boxes.
Oh, give yourself some credit. I'm sure you had a beautiful smile. And
I did, but there was something about that Scorpio energy, and being raised under that energy was an amazing thing. I'm the biggest fan of my Scorpio friends because my mom was exceptional, and she knew how to make everybody feel like they belonged and they were the most special person in the room. And I hope I inherited a little bit of that, because that's some good work for the world, to make people always feel like. And she could throw a party like nobody's business.
Oh my goodness.
That's that's what you do with your meetups, right? You're throwing a big party.
I am.
You're a natural party thrower, and that's
yeah. And I literally say to people, like, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. It really means a lot to me. I feel like I threw a party and you said yes and came. So
I love how genuine and sweet you are about the whole thing, and how humble you are. You have every reason not to be humble, yet you're so humble.
Thanks. I stay tuned to my purpose and why I'm doing it. It really, it's easy. It's easy. But you were asking about spiritual experiences.
Yeah. When did you sort of come into how you feel now as a spiritual being? Because talking to you, Jody, I can tell that so much of what you do in all of your life's work, there's that spirituality that fuels it. Because even the way you speak and the way you feel when you speak, it all has very much a universal energy to me.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you that you can feel that.
Absolutely.
I know I feel like I get really moved, like a lot. So I'm just let myself kind of be open and feel that. I had my first experience at the Ananda Center. Actually, this was in the 90s, early 90s, I think. I went to the Ananda Center, and my best friend, who was my girlfriend at the time, Sue, we were in one of their Sunday services, and the female minister at the time they were doing like a light ceremony type of thing, and you go up in the front, and she just touched my forehead, and I had my first experience, and I was completely moved, deeply moved, crying, and just felt like a big pile of mush. And just the experience of just being really connected to the oneness and to spirit, and so much that it's just, there's nothing else to do but just be moved and cry, because it's overwhelming and blissful. And through the years, I probably have had 8 or 10 of them. In fact, oh my God, I had one in August at the big, like, women's beach party in August.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Except the problem is I came in contact with a woman that looked me in the eyes, and I looked her in the eyes, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? What is happening? And I had my girlfriend on one side and my friend on the other. And I ended up laying down on the sand. And a lot of times when I have these experiences, there's an external circumstance that makes me have to stop.
Sure.
Right? Can't, not the right time and place, Jody. So I had these 2 people like right on both sides of me, kind of, and I felt very safe and protected. And I just said, thank you so much for letting me have this full experience. Meanwhile, the gal is kind of looking me in the eyes, and then she had to go and take care of some business with the person that she was on a first date with. um, and then come back and go. And she kept saying, "You're my star seed sister. You're my star seed sister. I've been looking for you." And I was just mush. And afterwards I thought, oh my God, I have a feeling everybody thinks I was drunk and passed, like was on the ground, drunk.
Laying on the sand, passed
Yes.
out, drunk.
Luckily at the end of the party when it was getting dark, but it was, and my one friend that was next to me still afterwards was like, what the hell happened to you? What was that? What happened? So I had to try to explain, but I just indulged in this blissful experience. And that one just came on spontaneously. So I've had those. And then, I went
Have you kept in touch with her?
Yeah, we actually got together, and I think about her. She's local. And I do want to reconnect with her. We did get together once. Yes. Yeah. Just to talk.
We do run into people, right, that we know from home that are part of our soul family, and we encounter them throughout our human life. And when you make that contact, you just know that's somebody from my soul family.
Yes.
And then that you're meant to be a part of their lives. And I think that's so beautiful. It's like running into friends from high school that you love, that you haven't seen in 30 years, except you haven't seen them in however old you are, however long they've been here. And I just think that's one of the beautiful things. To me, it's very soul affirming that we have this beautiful family at home, and that is sort of our real life, and this is sort of school.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's learning. It occurred beyond my conscious mind. If anything, my mind was like, oh God, here in the beach, right? Like, oh, that kind of thing.
Here we go.
The recognition was at a whole other, there was no mind recognition at all. It was just energy and presence and looking into her eyes, feeling like I went right to the universe, the center of the universe kind of thing.
Love that. That's the best.
Oh, I know, God. So it was nice to just give myself the full experience too. That was really fun, very indulgent. It was beautiful. Like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something, but it seemed like hours.
You have to stay in touch because you two have a mission. There's a thing you two are going to do.
We have an appointment.
Right. Exactly. There's an appointment in your Akashic records.
Yes.
There's an appointment.
There's an appointment. Exactly.
100%. Yeah. Oh my God. I love that story so much. That's fantastic. Right here at our beautiful little Huntington Beach.
Yes. I know.
Story. I love it. God.
So then also in the, let's see, I think in the 90s, maybe, again, I can't think of 2000s, I went to hypnosis school, and I started playing around with hypnosis a little bit. I never did it professionally, but I did this really outrageous past life regression with a friend who went back to like 4 lives and started naming names and dates and ships, and was like, oh Lord. And then I was with 2 other people. I was doing it, 2 witnesses, and then my friend, and then she shapeshifted.
Oh,
she just did.
Yeah.
She was in a past life, and I said, take yourself through to the end of that life and tell me how you died from a distant place. And she went from a 20-year-old beautiful dancer, her skin shriveled, her jaw jutted out, her forehead jutted out, her eyes sunk in. And if to this day, perhaps if those 2 other people weren't hanging on me, scared to death, I would have wondered whether I actually saw that. And then, my friend ended up saying she could feel it all happening. She felt it. She felt like she was in a theater, like an OmniMax theater, sitting and looking at the screen. She felt she was experiencing it, but she also knew she was in the room with us. Yeah. So I started having some of these metaphysical types of experiences. And then when my grandma passed away, there was a book left by no accident in the waiting room that was a past life book, basically. Maybe Robert Monroe. I can't remember which one. Astral projecting, something. And but it was past lives. And so I started reading that, and no, it was near-death experiences. Near-death experiences. I started reading that, and all of a sudden I could just find so much peacefulness in letting my grandmother go. My family went home. I was there at 1 a.m. I heard her breathing change, and I sat with her, And, she finally took her last breath.
Mm.
I didn't know that she was going to gasp about a minute later. So it scared the daylights out of me in the room alone at 1 a.m. And then she passed away. And then it's like, okay, it's done. I'm going to go home now. It was a very weird moment. But then I just really got into near death experiences. And I have 2 friends that have had them, very clear, explicit experiences. I've read, and one of my pastimes is to listen to YouTube videos, because there's tons of them out there, and just feeling in my heart really deeply that this is what happens, that consciousness lives on.
Yes.
And people that pass away are like, did I die? Like, I feel the same, but
Yeah.
oh my God, I think I died. Not sure, but I think so. And then I had this realization one day, like, we always think of, the brain, and we think of our mind. There's our mind, our thoughts in our mind. And one day I thought, what if our mind is our soul, is our consciousness? And
Right. I think
that's it.
Percent is
That's
our.
it.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that's talking inside there is my soul, and it doesn't go anywhere. It continues on when your body drops. And all those things have given me so much peace, and no fear of death at all, and just wanting to, go for life in its fullest, just because I'm so grounded in all of those beliefs. Oh, I started to tell you about the hypnosis training. I did that, but then I also hypnotized another friend of mine who's very psychic. And we started having these experiences where she would communicate with this old lady in a cave on the other side, and then that lady would communicate with her, and then she'd communicate with me. So we did that for a little while. And then one day she started channeling. Just she and I. Boom, in comes an entity. And do you know that I can't see you anymore? Okay, well, this is an interesting experience. I don't know if I'm on. Okay, keep going. So I will continue my story. So she started channeling, and an entity named Antoine came through her, and
Wow.
he said, I'm just a normal guy. I'm not an ascended master or anything. I'm just a guy. I'm here to try to help you out with some information or whatever. So each time I had to bring her into a trance, and then she would start channeling, and little by little, she couldn't close her eyes and channel. And she's been doing it 25 years now.
Oh,
So I had that experience. And when somebody starts channeling, they're channeling. That is not her in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. I had a friend once, and we were at a Christmas party, and we were a couple times before, I had seen her eyes kind of go black, and I knew another thing was sort of coming through. She had such a bad neck. She had like 10 disc fuse, like she could barely move her neck.
Oh.
The hallway, and all of a sudden her eyes changed color. And she said, look what I can do. And she threw her arms up and bent backwards and went all the way back and touched her hands on the floor like a gymnast. And I'm like, oh my God. And then she came back up, and she kind of looked confused. And then she was like, why does my neck hurt? Oh my God. So yeah, that's a thing. And it's a little bit to look at and watch. If I've learned anything from you in the last 54 minutes, it's that you have to come back soon and just do psychic and paranormal experiences, because you're amazing. I don't want to let you go before you talk about your trips to Greece. Do that really quick and promise me you'll come back.
Oh, thank you. I'd love to come back. Thank you so much. I'm having so much fun. Thank you. You promised me it would be comfortable and easy. Yeah. And you're right. Thank you. So I'm leading 2 women-loving women. So trans women, bi women, lesbian.
Beautiful.
Trips, one in June and one in September. My partner is a archaeologist. A lesbian archaeologist, and a somatic therapist. So what we do is we travel to the ancient goddess sites, mostly, but other sites too. And she leads us in these somatic experiences in the energy of these sites. And then each night I lead the circle so we can witness and share what we witness each other. It ranged last time from grief to never laughed so hard in my whole life.
Nice.
And
yes.
Everything in between.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that people would be different when they got back. We didn't quite realize how powerful it was, but people came back and quit their jobs, started businesses, sold their homes, did all kinds of things. So my website is lesbiangetaways.com. Everything is on there. And I love what I'm doing. I can't wait. The trip in September also includes the International Eressos Women's Festival, where it's a small village on the Isle of Lesbos, and women come from all over the world. And so I've put together a group to do sacred roots and then go to the festival.
You are maybe my new favorite person. I'm so excited about all the things that you're doing.
Oh,
and
thank
I can't wait to share them with the world. I'll send you a text message and we'll do it again.
Please.
And spend all our time talking about spiritual stuff, because you have so many beautiful messages for the world, and I want people to hear every one of them.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Where can people find you online, sweetheart?
Well, it's Jody Potiker, JodyPotiker. That's my personal Facebook page. And then I have my meetup group is So Many Women, So Little Time. That can't see it because of light.
Nice.
So meetup.com, So Many Women, So Little Time. And then also that's a Facebook group, Facebook page as well. And then lesbiangetaways.com. That's what I'm really working with. We want a little more enrollment for June 1st to the 13th. And yeah, that's where I can be found. Thank you. I feel so grateful. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
So much fun.
Oh my God.
Jody Potiker, you're so great. If you missed any of the links of what's going on with all her fabulous meetup work and spiritual work and trips, you can go to sheenametalspiritual.com, or you can just send me a text message. I give out my phone on the videos and the radio shows because everybody needs connection. 818-437-0886. That's 818-437-0886. We're honored to be a part of Parapod TV. Thank you to Tony Sweet, our owner and operator, who allows us to be part of his television family, and my engineer and producer, Emery. You're the wind beneath my wings, and I couldn't do this without you, my friend. Please come and find me. Stay in touch. If you learned anything from my conversation with Jody today, connect with somebody. It's so important. Make a new friend, because when you grow your tribe, you grow your vibe. Until I see you next Wednesday at 3:00 Pacific, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, not just yours, but those around you. And in essence, that will raise the vibration of the everything. And most importantly for me, remember that you are love and you are loved, and you're so loved by me. And I'll see you next week. I'm Sheena Metal. This is the Sheena Metal Experience. And take care of you. Be good to you. I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. Namaste.
Mm-hmm.